You want to talk about perfection? You want to talk about an all-time great segment? Baron Corbin backstage met the Godfather, and then Farouk walked out of the APA door, and then later on in the show, he said, damn. Alundra Blaze was there with the Women's Championship that she dropped in a bin on a different program.
Yeah.
Get over it already. I mean, that's what you want to talk about, right?
I did have maybe something else in mind that was on this show.
Yeah?
It was the thing that opened, not the thing that opened. The thing that was after the opening.
You mean that bit that goes, chung, 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 then, now, woo! You mean that bit?
No, I meant the bit after that.
Hogan.
No, the bit after that.
The video package.
No, the bit after that.
Which was, when this came after that, LA Knight.
No, before that.
Or the bit before that. Oh, there's, yes, JBL and Baron Corbin walking to see The Godfather. Of course, I'm only kidding. It was the Tribal Court for Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. A segment that was not supposed to happen.
No.
This was supposed to be a totally different segment. However, there's part of me that thinks it would have ended up with almost the same outcome. But let's get into it. I'm Luco in DAD. I'm joined by Chopper Pete Quinnell. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast. Please press the thumbs up button if you're first time here. Press the subscribe button. Tomorrow is our 70K celebration day. We are doing a 10-hour Royal Rumble randomizer stream, which I am very, very excited about. We are super thrilled about that. Also in the show, we're going to have an update about our Royal Rumble party this weekend. A few people have already had emails about that. More details on that in just a little bit. But first, to business. This segment. So yeah, so the news was this was supposed to be the acknowledgement of Roman Reigns. On last week's show, they said every generation of the bloodline is going to be on this show to acknowledge Roman Reigns. So we all said, it's The Rock. The Rock's going to be there, or there'll be teasers of The Rock, this, that, and the other. It'll lead towards Roman Rock at WrestleMania. However, it has since come out that The Rock's probably not going to be at WrestleMania because he didn't realize he needs to get ready for it with his 14 months of notice. Yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it?
I think there's still a chance we could be seeing The Rock. This could just be a red herring. But, you know, fair play to them, I suppose, to say they've done no mention of the fact that Rock will be at the show. And now he's saying, no, I'm not going to be there. So if people still think The Rock is there and then get disappointed when he's not, it's probably on you.
It's kind of the same way, you know, how Edge kept telling us he wasn't going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was the original plan for this segment.
Yeah.
However, the news came out last week that Afa and Sika were unable to travel, and Rikishi fell ill, so he was unable to attend as well.
Yeah.
So on Friday on SmackDown, they instead announced it's going to be a different segment. It's going to be the Tribal Court, a trial of Sami Zayn, basically.
God. Led
Led by Paul Heyman, as to whether or not we need to kick Zayn out of the Island of Relevancy.
Yes.
And good crikey, this segment went so long, a match had to be cancelled, and boy, howdy do I have a problem with that. But we'll get onto that in a little bit. Just focus on the good for now. I've written here, the Bloodline actually opened the show because Hogan came out and flubbed all of his lines, had tech issues, then left. It was a pointless bit of nostalgia.
Sure was.
But the Bloodline come out, and this crowd were so hot. So hot for all of the lads in the ring. So hot for like the acknowledge me. So hot for Sammy just sitting there. It was Philadelphia, so they got ECW chants, which led to Paul Heyman's first great line of this segment. Extreme Championship Wrestling is dead, and I wish the same for Sami Zayn.
Oh! You can't do that to me, Paul! You can't!
Calls him Judas, says that he is in cahoots with Kevin Owens. From day number one, these two have been in a conspiracy together against you. And I've got all the evidence. I've got exhibits A, B, C, D. I've got E, F, G, and H. I've got all the way through LMNOP. But all I'm going to use is 4 bits of video to prove it to you. And I will say this for Heyman. He did not pick the 4 best bits of video to show.
I think that was sort of the point.
Yeah.
In that it's kind of like, it's very, very small things that Paul Heyman and in my interpretation, by extension, Roman Reigns, are hyper-fixating on very small things to be like, see? see, he's going to turn on you, when they're being paranoid. That's not actually the case. And like one of the clips was Drew McIntyre beating up the Usos and Sami ran away. That's because he's a coward, not because he wanted to turn on the bloodline, because he ran away because at the time he was a coward and didn't want to stand up for the Usos. Because the Usos weren't standing up for him either at the time. There was a time when he got so hyped up that he accidentally shoulder barged Roman Reigns and he was like, see, he tried to assassinate him.
Yeah, that was really good.
Very funny.
Yeah, he was like, that was I mean, even if we don't kick him out of the group, that is assault.
Yeah, that's assault.
And he is, if guilty of nothing, he is guilty of assault because on I said the Christmas Eve episode of SmackDown. It was wrong. Like it was the 23rd. It's because I reviewed it on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
It's where I made my mistake. But in that, Roman's there front and center. And Sami walks to the front so he can like cut this promo on Owens and John Cena, but just accidentally bumps into him. It's brilliant because I've now watched the segment twice. We did a reaction video for it on the podcast channel. Go and watch that, by the way. Me, Adam, and Sullivan Bo Brown, who hadn't seen the segment yet, so it was fresh eyes for them. I got to rewatch that segment, and there was a bit when Sami bumps into Roman in the background, Paul Heyman's like, I cannot believe he did that.
Yeah,
it's a really like background bit of detail. But Paul was already like, that's something for me to remember when I'm trying to, orchestrate what's going to happen later on.
To the mental log.
His big actual smoking gun was Sami's refusal to hit Owens with the chair, or his conflicted emotions of hitting Owens with the chair.
Yeah.
Because his other one was at War Games, Sami celebrated and at one point did for life because he's part of LIW.
He's part of LIW, exactly, yeah.
And Heyman's like, what is it? The NWO? What are we, the Dangerous Alliance now? Like, is it the end? Like, are we the Four Horsemen? What is it? It's a secret hand gesture to Kevin Owens to say that we're Montreal boys for life.
Yeah.
It was really, really quite brilliant. And then he looks at him, Paul Heyman of all people, called Sami Zayn a rat bastard and is guilty as charged.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And okay, I'm just gonna say, I'll come out right on Front Street. Is that a phrase?
Yep. Yeah. Putting this out on Front Street.
Putting this out on Front Street. It's my favorite wrestling segment of all time. I don't care. This is just my favorite thing. This is everything I want from wrestling. This ticks every single box that I'd want to possibly tick. Everybody involved played their role absolutely perfectly. Heyman's accusation, because he starts off and he's shaking in his voice when he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman." His voice is shaking because he's still like uncertain about what he's doing. And my interpretation of Paul Heyman's current character is, one, he's terrified of Roman Reigns. That's pretty explicit that we know that. He doesn't know who to side with. He judges which way the wind is blowing, and then he strikes. And he's like, I think Roman Reigns is going to find Sami Zayn guilty, so I'm going to go all in on Sami Zayn being guilty. And he just goes for him and says, I want him dead. I want him out of the bloodline. I want him out of this. Here's all the evidence to say why he's a rat bastard. He's guilty as charged. Really like hammering home. But then everything turns around. Because Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn gets a chance to retort. And he's kind of firing back at Paul Heyman. He's like, I can't believe you say these things. It hurts. It hurts me to hear this stuff. Because he's being genuine. He wants to be part of the bloodline. He's been looking out for the bloodline for ages. And I can't believe you're having me here to have to defend myself. My defense is I have no defense. And puts the mic down.
He said, I had a defense planned.
Yeah.
I had this whole big speech planned. But hearing what you're saying, it hurts. And I didn't really think what it would feel like to be actually in this moment and what it feels like. It basically was saying my feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe you think this. Do you think I'm trying to take over? Like I'm trying to infiltrate the bloodline? And off mic, Paul Heyman's going, yes, I do. I think you're absolutely right. And I think there's also an argument to be made for Heyman's character that he is scared of Zayn becoming popular and overtaking his tribal chief.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to kill it now before this becomes Kofi Mania, before this becomes a yes move, before we get Sami Mania. Yeah. Let's just kill this now, and then we can just focus on our tribal chief and that because that is the island I've attached myself to.
The thing I loved in this segment as well was Sami saying that he didn't have a defense, put his microphone down. Roman's look of just sheer like, I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Do you not care anymore?
Him picking up the microphone and firing up and being like, I can't believe it is literally like someone saying, okay, fine, we'll break up. That's fine. And someone say, what, you don't want to fight for this? This doesn't mean anything to you? It is such like a toxic mindset. It is so... Almost swore. It's such a bad mindset to have in like a relationship, to be like, well, why aren't you arguing with me? I want to argue about this. Why aren't you arguing? When it's like, that's not the point. You shouldn't be arguing about it. You should be able to talk things out and communicate properly. And this is Roman just gaslighting Sami and just being like, well, why aren't you fighting for this? We're trying to fight for this. I've given you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and you're not even winning. Your ego's too big that you can't even fight to stay in the bloodline. Fine, I've had enough of this. Solo! It just calls for Solo immediately.
It's the crowd reaction to that moment, because that was when everyone's like, oh, this is it.
Uh-oh.
We're about to see Sami get kicked out of the bloodline. Because you're right, like Roman, he swung on a dime.
Yep.
And he worked himself up more and more and more to the point where he just screamed his henchman's name to take out Sami Zayn. Yeah. Solo Sikoa, by the way, I love him so much in all of this. I mean, every single person's performance in this segment, I think you could probably argue with the exception of Jimmy because he was given nothing to do, but I think that makes him a very interesting character in all of this because he is the silent partner in all of this.
Yeah.
Everyone's performance was so great. Heyman was awesome. Roman listening to every single word the wise man was saying and being like, really? Is this what you were planning? Is this what you were doing all along, Sami Zayn? And Sami's reaction to being like, I've got no defense. And that ticks Roman over and he's just like, what are you talking about? Screams Solo. Solo's expression does not change. He just does exactly what his boss has told him to do. The hitman of this group, this assassin that just loves killing people.
The enforcer.
Yeah, he's the enforcer. He walks over to Sami Zayn, he gets the thumb ready, and he screams to do it. And he throws his thumb across when Jey Uso stops him. There's a lot of beautiful stuff in here. A, it's Jey. B, it's the exact same thing that Sami Zayn did in War Games to stop the referee. He grabbed the arm to stop the referee from counting 3. And Jey here stopped the arm from giving the Samoan spike. Onions, layers.
Exactly. And it's Jey Uso saving Sami Zayn, acting against the orders of Roman Reigns. Jey Uso putting his neck out on the line for Sami Zayn.
Roman's reaction to it.
Which is something that Sami Zayn has done for Jey Uso in the past when he was trying to gain favor. And anytime they were arguing, and Roman would always side with Sami Zayn and be like, Jey, why are you doing this? Stop being a waste of my time kind of thing. And Sami Zayn would be like, come on, man, like Jey's done nothing wrong. He always put his neck out for Jey. And this time, Jey puts his neck out for Sami. I lost my mind when Jey Uso grabbed Solo's arm. I could not believe it.
I'm really sad because you recorded your reactions to this. You came into the office to watch the show and you set your phone up just to record yourself watching this segment. We did have a clip of it prepped, but I've been busy with all the other stuff that I haven't had the chance to load it into the back end, so we can't watch it here. But it is available on Patreon.
It is on Patreon, and it would have gone live literally now, I believe, or maybe like 1 minute ago over on Patreon. There's like a 15-minute video of me just watching the trial of Sami Zayn, because I always say, I've had so many times on like previous SmackDown reviews and things, I'd be like, oh man, I really wished I recorded my live reactions for this segment, because you guys would have seen like how much I was going crazy. Like, I filmed myself watching the trial of Sami Zayn, and I lost my mind when Jey Uso saved him here.
It's so great.
The thing is, Jey saved him, and I was like, what a wonderful moment. That's incredible to see Jey Uso save him. And then he picks up a microphone, and he says to Roman Reigns, hey man, I've made my own footage. And I was like, oh my God, Jey Uso's got his defense.
He represents him. And it's not only that, but he says, look, Tribal Chief, no disrespect, but I've got my own footage that I want to show here.
Yeah.
Like Jey Uso representing Sami Zayn.
It's so perfect.
In the tribal court is a beautiful twist that I did not foresee. And he shows video clips. Brilliantly, 5 clips.
Yeah.
So it's one more than Heyman had. And even more, they are irrefutable points.
Yep.
It's not like Paul Heyman being like, what does that sign mean? Or like, hey, he tried to assault Roman Reigns by like bumping into him. No, this is irrefutable proof that Sami Zayn has always had the bloodline's interest first. So it is What was the first one of this?
The first one was him distracting Matt Riddle in the tag match. So he played Roman Reigns' music during the tag match with the Usos and RK Bro, which distracted Matt Riddle, which meant that the Usos managed to get the victory in that one.
And I think actually Adam pointed out in the live reactions, I don't know if this is the reaction video that we did, and I think this is great. That's when they won the Raw tag titles.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is when they became the undisputed tag team champion. Sami Zayn played Roman's music to distract. They did it on SmackDown because they didn't do it at Backlash. They did a 6-man instead.
I think that's right.
I think it
might have been a rematch or something, but it was around that time.
It was around that time. So Sami Zayn was instrumental in that moment. The second one, and these are two around the Drew feud at Clash at the Castle, was Sami taking the bullet for Roman when Drew did the Claymore. And then when Drew came down to attack Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn pushed Solo away and took the chair shot instead.
Which is directly in response to Sami running away when Drew McIntyre beat up the Usos backstage. This is the clip that Heyman played. It is literally Sami putting himself in harm's way for the bloodline, which is the opposite of what Heyman's clip showed him.
Everyone's saying in the chat it was not that moment. So it was a rematch instead. And then the other one was him stopping Sheamus from getting in the ring when Brawling Brutes were going after the tag titles. And fifth, and importantly, finally, Sami turning on Kevin Owens inside of War Games, stopping the referee's count, giving him the low blow and the haluva kick, and getting Jay the win. That moment, I think, for Jay, that is it. Like, that's the moment.
That's when he hugged him.
That's when he hugged him. That's when Jay realized that Sami is on. And it's the perfect moment because it was also when Roman started to doubt him. You can go back to November. You can go back to that Survivor Series show, and there's backstage segments of Roman Reigns unsure of what we're going to do with Sami Zayn. And while they were, celebrating with him at the end, there's still that unsure paranoia within Roman Reigns that he's wrong. But Jay, in that moment, accepted him the same way that Roman had accepted him just a couple of months earlier. So the roles have now switched. And Jay cuts this promo where he says, I despised you. Like to Sami Zayn, it's like, I despised you. I didn't want anything to do with you. But you saw the good in me. And do you know what? That's what family does. I love this man like a brother. Kept calling him Oos.
Bearing in mind, there's two brothers in the ring.
Absolutely. And we then start getting Sami Uso chants. He said, if everyone here, if you think that Sami Zayn should belong in the bloodline, throw your wands in the air. Every single person in that arena did it. And Roman is... I don't quite know what to make of Roman in the segment here, because he just 4 minutes earlier, he was ready for Solo Sikoa to absolutely murderize. But I think I've got an idea of what his plan is.
So initially, when Jay cut this very impassioned defense for Sami Zayn, and Roman Reigns stood up and said, I find you not guilty, right? That was what he decreed of Sami Zayn. And initially I was like, does that make Roman Reigns just like easily manipulated? Does it make him look weak or anything like that? And then he said, for now. And I'm like, nah, Roman's got a plan. Roman knows what he's doing. And I like the fact that he literally openly said, Jey Uso's bought you more time. Sure, thank him. He's bought you more time. But see out tonight. Stay true to the bloodline. See out tonight. And then I don't want to see you again until Saturday. Until the Royal Rumble. Means don't come to SmackDown.
I don't want to hear you've even come to the building.
I don't want to even hear you've come to the building. I want you to go home. And the next time I want to see you is at the Royal Rumble, where you'll deliver your final test.
So here's my big theory.
Hit me with it.
This is I don't know if this is my big bold prediction. It's not for Sami. The test is for Paul.
Ooh.
Because Roman said, I don't want to see you until Saturday. At the end of the tag match, he turns to Heyman and says, make sure I don't see him until Saturday. Heyman's the one who's leading the charge against Sami. Here's my thing. Friday, SmackDown, Heyman calls Sami and says, Roman's changed his mind. You need to come to the building.
Oh, no.
And Roman then finds Sami and he's like, I told you not to come here. This, that, and the other. X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. You get to Royal Rumble. Roman's realized, because I wonder if it's in this segment, Roman realized that Paul was trying to play him.
Yeah.
And that's the plan that he's got.
Genuinely, as soon as he said not guilty for Sami Zayn, I was like, what does this mean for Heyman? Heyman's the one who's like, I don't want to do anything to do with him anymore. What's the relationship between Sami and Heyman like now?
Yeah.
They're still supposed to be together in the bloodline. I don't know. Here's my thing. Here's a whole other layer that we've not spoken about just yet. Sami Zayn not offering a defense. Do you think he wants to get out of the bloodline? Do you think this is him just being like, you know what? If this is how you're going to turn on me for absolutely no reason, I don't want to be here anymore.
I think there's certainly one read of it. I don't think I disagree with you at all, because I think that is a very valid read of the situation. The other one is that I've got no defense was his like showing his passion and showing his like, you hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Was actually his defense.
Yeah.
He didn't want to show video footage because anyone could do that, but actually like speaking from the heart and being like, this hurts my feelings because I've never intended this.
Yeah.
Maybe it was his defense. Not having his defense was his defense.
Yeah.
And so there's that, certainly that argument to it as well, but also maybe there is something that Zayn is, but I can't foresee a world where Zayn's done with this group, because I still feels like he thinks he's part of this family.
Well, maybe it's not necessarily like an overt, like, oh, I'm done with you, go away kind of thing. But maybe there's a part of him that's just accepted that just like, maybe I'm not supposed to be part of this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not.
Maybe Kevin's right all along.
Maybe KO's right. Like, maybe I don't want this. And he's like, oh, I won't offer a defense. I'll let you do your judgment. But I'm going to be fine either way, because if I stay in the bloodline, great. But if I'm kicked out of the bloodline, maybe I'll be okay too, kind of thing. Maybe it's just like a part of him that just wants out of this toxic relationship that he's in with the bloodline right now. I love this so much.
This was so great.
This was phenomenal acting from everybody involved.
Sami Zayn essentially crying when Jay played the footage. I think it means so much more because it was like to Sami. It means so much more that Jay was the one that jumped to his defense.
Exactly.
Jay was the one who loaded up Premiere Pro last night and put together this video footage, right? And so like Sami's like, it cuts back and Sami's like, he's got a bit of a quivering lip about him. He is watery in the eyes because this means everything to him, and the fact that it's Jay that's come to his defense means even more. And the fact that he was literally about to be killed by Solo Sikoa, it means like there's an extra level to how much this means to him.
Sami wasn't even resisting when Solo held him and he held the thumb up. Sami was like, "This is it. This is my fate. This is your judgment. That's fine. I'll carry out my sentence.
I can't argue against you because you are my tribal chief."
Yeah,
there's so many layers. to this segment. And it only got better.
Just right at the end of that segment, well, after everything's done and they start walking off, Sami goes and hugs Jey Uso. Jey Uso, everybody, by the way, is wearing a lei in this segment, apart from Sami Zayn. Jey Uso gives Sami his lei and then hugs him. I'm like, stop playing with my heart, you fools!
It's so great.
It's gonna hurt so much when they turn on him.
Well, yeah, okay, maybe we'll get into those predictions shortly then. Yeah. You know, what does this all mean? Because what we got next was the Usos versus Judgment Day for the Raw tag titles.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have to include this all in the same thing, absolutely, right? Before we get into the play-by-play.
Yeah. The thing is, instantly, like, Judgment Day were making their entrance because they went to an ad break, they came back. Judgment Day were making their entrance, and it cut back, and I saw the Usos were standing there with Sami Zayn, and I was like, oh my god, it's not over. What's Sami going to do in this match? How is this going to impact the Royal Rumble? What influence is Sami going to have on this match? Turns out quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't think anyone doing their predictions about this match last week predicted that this was going to be the outcome of it.
No, exactly.
I said on last week's show that I wonder if the only being for the Raw tag titles was a red herring, a literal red herring because they're red belts. That it's to make you think that they're going to switch the belts. And I actually really think it added to the drama of this match, which I think would have had the added drama even if it was for both belts because of what happened.
Yes.
Because what happened in this match, they had a fine little match. It was pretty good, and it was. Crucially, Damian Priest doing all the work for Judgment Day while Dom was just being Dom.
Yeah.
Finn Balor gets ejected because he was blatantly cheating in front of the referee.
I'd also like to point out that they had the absolute masterstroke of putting this on right after the trial of Sami Zayn, where the Usos effectively turned face because they sided with Sami Zayn, meaning they're the faces in this match and Judgment Day are the heels, when it originally was going to be a heel versus heel match.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't think about that, but that's such a good point. That's a great point. Because they were absolutely masterful. They were in the babyface corner.
Yeah, they're the babyface in this match. They just sided with Sami Zayn.
And Jimmy gets hurt. tweaks his knee.
The referee throws up the X, man.
And the medics come down to help him. They pick up and they start walking to the back. And Adam Pearce comes down. The referee tells him, Jimmy cannot go. And Adam Pearce says, are you telling me that Jimmy Uso is hurt and he cannot wrestle in this match? Well, I'm afraid you can't finish this match. You're going to have to forfeit the match and forfeit the tag belts. And the crowd are like, no,
I can't do that.
And Sami grabs the mic. And I mentioned this in the reactions video we did because I really noticed it, certainly on the second watch. He says, wait. Jimmy can't go. And there's this ripple through the crowd as one by one people picked up what Sami was putting down. Everyone went, but Sami's there! And this is even beautiful. Again, you kind of go back the week by week by week. They did this in the Judgment Day thing.
Again, masterful booking.
They'd set this precedent up in the tag turmoil thing with Judgment Day because Balor got hurt before the last match, so Dom had to fill in for him. At the time, we were just like, oh, what a brilliant thing because Dom's in the final match. Priest is now, and Priest had to do the whole like, it's good that it's Dom.
Dom.
I'm glad that it's Dom.
Yeah.
Pays off here because Sami steps in for Jimmy Uso. Sami and Jay as a tag team defending the tag belts.
And Sami Zayn saying Jimmy Uso can't go, but Sami Uso's good to go.
Yeah.
He calls himself Sami Uso. It's so perfect.
So great. And immediately Sami gets rolled up and Dom gets his feet up on the ropes. Sami kicks out. I was like, oh my God, that was and my heart leapt up into my throat. Immediately after that, Damian Priest grabs him and hits South of Heaven. Dom comes, I was like, no, like this. And Sami kicks out again.
After Sami gets involved in this match, the level of near falls in this match was unbelievable.
It ramped up to such a ludicrous degree. And I don't think loved it.
I've bought into this many near falls in a long time.
Bingo. Bingo
God.
wings. Absolutely. Because I went into this match thinking there's every chance they might take the belts off them because they are looking to split. There's been reports they want to split up the tag belts in the same way they want to split the world titles. Maybe this was done as a way to get them off. Apart from that niggling thing in the back of my mind that I mentioned last week is like, what if it's just a red herring? It's just to make you think that it is because it's all the more impactful. Either way, it totally worked because I bought into all of these near falls.
Yep.
When Dom hit the 619 and the frog splash on Jey Uso and Sami makes the save. Every single near fall was either Sami kicking out or Sami breaking it up. Sami Zayn won this match for his team.
Yep.
He's also the one that got the pinfall.
Yeah. He hit the 1D with Jey Uso. Teamwork. This is perfect. You don't get any better than this.
And that was when backstage, because Roman and Heyman are watching this backstage with Solo Sikoa just standing there stoically.
Yeah.
And he reiterates to Heyman, I don't want to see him.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him until Saturday. And Heyman's like, yes, my tribal chief. That was the moment when I was like, I wonder if it's a test for Heyman, not a test for Sami.
I don't know.
But Roman did say very specifically, you will face your final test.
He said you'll deliver your final test.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I believe that was the wording.
So maybe there is that, and like it is. Okay. It's meant to make us think it's all about Sami, but it is actually about Paul.
Earlier, when it was me and Adam were walking to go get some lunch earlier, and it was just after you had recorded your reaction video with them, and we were just talking about the segment and what we think this means, future stories and lines and all that stuff. And we were saying, what if Sami's thing is to enter the Rumble and ensure that another member of the Bloodline wins? That is his challenge. That is his test. Make sure that another member of the Bloodline wins the Rumble because then they can forfeit their shot against Roman. And that ensures that Roman can hold on to the titles. Great. What if it comes down to Sami Zayn and a couple of other people in like the final four? Let's say it's Jey Uso. Something happens out of Sami's control. Jey Uso gets eliminated. So Sami's like, well, if someone in the Bloodline's got to win, I guess it has to be me, right? Sami Zayn then wins it for himself to be like, well, we got to keep it in the Bloodline. It's better that I win than, Cody Rhodes or someone like that. It's better that it stays in the Bloodline. But then that makes Roman losing. It's like, that wasn't your task. You were not supposed to win the Rumble. You're supposed to make sure that someone else wins the Rumble. He goes nuts and kicks Sami out the Bloodline, and Sami's like, all right, then I'll actually take the title shot then.
So here's my thing. I think Cody's winning the Rumble.
Every chance.
But I also think that is just because WWE are telling me that Cody is going to win the Rumble that I think Cody is going to win the Rumble.
Every chance.
Because Cody has got full-on Triple H 2002 vibes, coming back early, pectoral injury. He's going to win the Royal Rumble as a babyface and go on to WrestleMania to win the titles or go for the titles. Also, Elimination Chamber's in Montreal. If Sami wins the Rumble, what are you going to forego that Montreal title shot that you could possibly do? What might be the hottest crowd, like a hotter crowd than you'll have at Mania?
I think
you
can do other things with Sami though. You don't have to have the title match in Montreal.
Yeah,
that can be the show where Sami gets kicked out of the Bloodline.
Absolutely, it could be.
You can do other things with that Montreal crowd.
And I said this on the reaction video that we did earlier. You've got a real problem here with Sami in the Rumble now, because if Sami's not winning, or if Sami's not in it, there's every chance Cody gets Batistaed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is 2014 or 2015 all over again.
Yep. 2014?
2015, because 2014 was where he wasn't in it. That was the Ray one.
That's right, yes.
And then 2015 was when he was in it, and they eliminated him very quickly.
Yeah.
And then brought out Goldust to be like, it's okay, everyone. Never mind that, ass. Here comes Goldust.
Here's Shattered Dreams.
Yeah, literally. So, and you don't want that for Cody on his big return.
No, exactly.
And I think Triple H is smart enough to know that.
You'd think so,
You'd
right?
think so, right?
They're telling this story for a reason. Surely you think they know what they're doing. Triple H understands the crowd much better than Vince ever would. You know he's got to be thinking something. So either it's going to be Sami wins the Rumble, or there is going to be a very overt Sami is not here. Sami is not in the Rumble. Sami is injured. Sami is whatever. There is a thing to make sure that we all know Sami is not there. There has to be something like that to make us not think that there's a chance that Sami could win. Because if there's even a small chance that we think Sami could win the Rumble, if it's Cody winning, boo.
It was 2014. I just thought about that because it was WrestleMania 30.
Yeah. 2014 was when
2014. Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was.
That was when Bryan wasn't in it. You're right.
Yes, that was when he wasn't in it. And 2015 when he got eliminated. I was right. Yes, I was right.
You were right.
Yeah, because then Roman won it.
Yes.
Roman won the 2015 one. I was right. Yeah. And The Rock came out.
And then The Rock was like,
So I don't know. What you do now.
I don't know what you do.
Other than having Sami in and Sami winning.
You have to have Sami win.
I almost feel like this is now the time to just go with the crowd.
You have to.
I'm so excited for the Royal Rumble.
And
it is amazing because all of the Royal Rumble build has not been done by WWE for the Royal Rumble. Because realistically, they've done one bit of build for the Men's Royal Rumble, and that is Cody is in it. That is the only bit of build they've done for the Men's Royal Rumble.
I believe you'll find they did one qualifying match one time. That's about it.
But I'm talking about actual stars being in the Rumble. It is Cody and Cody alone.
And there are 15 people who have now been announced for the Rumble match, the men's Rumble match itself.
All of the excitement for me at the very least, the excitement I've got for the Rumble is actually all around the outcome of Roman. I mean, Roman's beating Owens. I think that is...
You would assume.
And going by this episode, well, bloody hell, Owens did not feel like he was part of this storyline whatsoever. He stunned The Miz at the end of the show and he cut a very quick promo where he's like, I will win.
What if Owens wins? And you have Sami win the Rumble?
Oh, what? And then the Mania is...
Sami versus Owens.
With Sami still in the Bloodline. Sami winning it back for the Bloodline.
You can still do Roman versus Rock.
I mean, actually, yeah, you can do that way because then they haven't got the belts on the line. But are they having... I mean, well, and here's the other thing as well. Back in the day, this really used to mean something. It certainly doesn't anymore. Owens gave his word.
No, he gave his word that he will try his best.
He will try his best, and he will get those titles back.
He will try his best to get the titles back for a champion. You can say he didn't say, "I give you my word, I will win." He said, "I give you my word, I will give everything I can to make sure I win those titles."
I felt that
it's very specific wording.
Well, what I said was true from a certain point of view. You Obi-Wan Blue Ghost lying piece of... Back in the day, if you said as a babyface, I guarantee I give you my word, it means you were winning.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm very, very excited to see the Rumble, though. I'm really, really super stoked.
This was incredible.
This was
perfect.
Yeah, it was absolutely. I said this in my edited review. This was a perfect segment.
Yeah, it was.
And it really was. Every single thing about the segment was absolutely perfect. And there wasn't anything that came close to this on this show in terms of quality. Like, this eclipsed everything on this show by
easily.
leaps and bounds.
Absolutely.
Because after this show basically fell off a cliff. It was fun and everything. Like, it was good.
There was some superficially fun things.
But that's it. It was all superficially fun things.
Yeah.
And the rest of, like, but nothing was really, like, as engaging as this first hour of the Bloodline.
Yeah. This was perfect.
Yeah. We have got, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to tell you this how. This episode's going long. We're 40 minutes into the show. We haven't even got to the Ultrachats yet.
I could genuinely talk about this segment for another hour.
And there are pages upon pages of Ultrachats, about this segment, which we'll get into. I'll tell you what, because we're talking about the Royal Rumble and our excitement for the Royal Rumble, we'll do this bit now and then we'll get into your Ultrachats. Unfortunately, we have had to cancel this Saturday's Royal Rumble party that we were doing at the Joiner on Worship due to unforeseen circumstances. A lot of things outside of our control meant that we've had to cancel the event. We are beyond gutted that we had to do this, like, a few days, handful of days before the event. But believe me, I promise you, I did everything I could yesterday to make this go ahead and make this still happen. And fortunately, everything worked against me. Pete and I were going to do a stream yesterday about the release of, the info for 2K23. And I couldn't do it because I was like, I'm trying to do this. And then I was just in a bad mood because it was not going the way that I wanted it to go. So we're very sorry. We have refunded everyone's money that's bought tickets. If you have bought a ticket and you want to talk about your travel or accommodation, support@WrestleTalk.com. There's going to be an email sent out. There would have been an email sent out beforehand, but I wanted to refund the money and then send the email. Problem was that once I refunded the money, there wasn't an option. There's no orders. So I can't send an email to the orders. Yeah. So I've got an email ready and prepped that I'll be sending out to everyone who did order their tickets. Email me back, support@WrestleTalk.com, because we are offering up a £20 gift voucher for WrestleShop.com. And we can have a chat about anything else. We are truly so sorry that this had to happen. I am really, really upset about it, and we'll do everything we can to try and do it as a make-do to everyone that did buy tickets for the events. Yeah.
We still will be doing a live reaction stream as we normally would for another event on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel, which I believe will be you and Tempest.
Me and Tempest, because it's me versus Tempest for the Jam That Championship.
Yeah. And we still have plans to do future watch parties, so don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. Yeah,
there's still going to be good ones.
We've got plans in place that should make sure that we don't get into the same situation that we got into again. Yeah, become clearer down the line. The plan is to do both nights of Mania and Money in the Bank, which will be in the UK as well. So those are currently lined up for us. This is not like the end of WrestleTalk live watch long parties, because we loved Clash of the Castle last year so much. We were so excited to do the Rumble this year, but things went against us. And we could not control them. And really sorry. Anyway, let's get into your Ultrachats about this, the Sami Zayn on trial, aka the best segment on Raw in a long time, as our moderator has called it here.
Yes.
Matt Hennessy kicks us off with a bunch of Ultrachats here that says, man, after tonight, Sami should 100% win the Rumble and dethrone Roman. Jay saving him is such a good story beat. He was the one who always doubted and hated Sami, but despite that, Zayn stood up for him. He earned Jay's respect at War Games.
That's literally it. Yeah.
I think what's interesting, and I noticed in the last few weeks, is Jimmy, Solo, and Paul are willing to turn on Sami with no hesitation, but Jay isn't. While the rest of the bloodline may be using Zayn, Jay has genuine affection for Sami.
Yep.
Jay also stood up to Roman. Remember, Reigns broke Jay's finger fighting spirit 3 years ago, and Sami helped Jay find it. Jay even said Sami was always saw the good in him. I think when Sami does leave the bloodline, I could see Jay siding with Sami. Roman's paranoia and insecurities are going to lead to his downfall and the downfall of the bloodline. Sami knows he's on borrowed time, and I love that he accepted his fate. I think once Sami leaves, Jay leaves out of loyalty to Sami. Jimmy will then leave out of loyalty. I think Sami has to win the Rumble and dethrone Roman. If Cody wins, it'll be Batista to Sami or Daniel Bryan, and it'll be his face run dead. It's Sami's year. Sami beating Roman will be like Bryan winning at WrestleMania 30 or Mankind beating Rock for the WWE title in 1999.
I disagree. I don't think it will be like Bryan winning at WrestleMania 30. I think it'll be better.
That's a bold claim right there.
I genuinely... I can't see a way of them getting out of this without Sami winning the Rumble.
I mean, there's a point Matt made there, which we didn't really get to touch upon because of bloody hell, there were so much other things to touch upon there. But he's absolutely right. Jimmy and Solo just do what Roman says.
Yeah.
They are just going with that is so in line with Jimmy. Because Jay was the one that was fighting against, when the tribal chief character first started, it was Jay that was fighting against Roman. Jimmy very quickly bent the knee and just acknowledged him and accepted his role within the bloodline. But Jay has always been the one to be like, why do you have to be head of the table? Why can't I be the head of the table?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's going to be an immediate thing like, oh, Sammy's left, so now I'm going to leave. But it will be like a Sami leaves the bloodline and Jay's just like, oh, man, for like weeks afterwards, he's just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, I don't think I can be here. Maybe he tries to get Jimmy on side with him to be like, come on, man, don't you remember? Like, we're our own team. Like, we need to get out of this kind of thing. Like, I could see that whole story being played out afterwards and Sami being the catalyst for the Usos wanting to leave the bloodline.
Kevin here with a bunch of chat says, last week I said maybe Cody would be the Iron Man, but what if the final test is Sami winning the Rumble from the number 1 position? Then Sami is eliminated because of Paul Heyman, so Cody can win. Roman orders the Usos to destroy Sami, and they reluctantly do it. I think it's better to have Sami be on top at Montreal, and so I'd have him cost one of Roman's titles to someone else, for example, Rollins or McIntyre, and then he challenges Roman at WrestleMania. How would the Usos react to all of this? Segments like this remind me that wrestling is way more than just matches and athletic performances, and it's more than comedy and soap opera. It's the perfect blend of sports and storytelling, and I love it. I love it
too. I don't know how to feel about those ideas, I'll be honest.
I think my instant reaction to that is, and this is like, I mean this with no disrespect and say the way that Jay said it to Roman. Roman saying you've got to win the Rumble from number 1 position feels like a wrestling stipulation. This storyline feels like it's so much bigger than wrestling stips, if that makes sense. It feels so much bigger than just being a wrestling thing, right? But like him saying you've got to win the Rumble from the number 1 position sounds like a heel authority figure trying to put the baby face at a disadvantage.
Yes. And also, we haven't even spoken about the fact that it might have nothing to do with the men's Rumble. It might be your final challenge is to make sure that Kevin Owens doesn't win. You know, kill Kevin Owens. Go. Yeah. And Sami's like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that.
Has Kevin up in the corner, hit the haluva kick, kick him, you know, something along those lines. And Sami has to have that conflicted moment of, can I do this again?
Yeah.
After what just happened on like 5 days before on Raw.
Exactly.
Slid said they may be booking themselves into a corner if they stick with Zayn Owens tag titles at Mania and Cody wins. I think the crowd will turn on Cody. What if Zayn faces Roman, Solo tries to help Roman win, and Jay stops him, costing Roman the belts? Interesting idea. What if Roman's final test for Sami is he wants him to win the Rumble, but in the Rumble, Sami tries to save Jay and ends up getting eliminated, which causes the bloodline to split Roman, Solo, and Heyman against Sami and the Usos. That is a 6-man tag I don't want to see.
Oh, no, I don't think that should be a 6-man tag.
I know.
I think that's just 2 separate camps.
We've done a lot of like Paul Heyman as manager and tag partner in the past.
I don't want to do.
So because that was the reported original plan for this, was that it was Owens at Rumble, Zayn at Chamber, Owens and Zayn going against the Usos for the tag titles. But after all of this stuff with Zayn and Jay, I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Thing is, if they still do that, the heartbreak of seeing Zayn go against Jay after all of this.
Oh! Charles Berg, for me, what makes this a great story is 1, the characters have human qualities, redeeming traits and fatal flaws. 2, actions beget reactions. Characters grow and change from the choices they and other characters make. 3, goals, whatever motivates a character. The Bloodline story hits 3 things perfectly. Sami, who desperately wants to feel he belongs to something. Jey Uso, who wants what's best for the people he cares about. Paul Heyman, who only wants to protect himself. Solo, who acts as a royal guard, whose goal is to protect the king because the elders ordered. And Roman, whose goal is control, a hunger for power. And when all of these conflicting goals and motivations collide, it creates really emotionally charged scenes. This is top tier stuff. Jam that jam. Charles, my boy.
Well said.
Well said. Dodsy155 says, what a segment the Bloodline had. Chef's kiss. Best of luck with the... I was at the Clash of the Castle one. I was the guy in the kilt.
Nice.
Due to work commitments, I'm unable to make this one. Have fun. Well, we'll certainly have fun on the live stream we do here on the WrestleTalk Podcast. Will Campbell, hey guys, everything from the start of the trial segment to the end of the tag match was everything I wanted in the storyline. And the fact that we got the payoff where Jay finally defended Sami just made it hit that much greater.
Just very small point I just want to make as well. I love the fact that we've been picking up on all these subtle bits of the story going through, and obviously the more overt story beats as well, like War Games and things like that. But all the more subtle bits of, oh, Sami's the one that helped him win this match, or, oh, Sami ran away from that thing, and all of that is paying off. It pays off for a fan to get invested and pick up on these subtle details.
Absolutely. Can I hot tag across?
Certainly. Power Packers 90 has been a member for 17 months in a row. I'm sorry, but seriously, don't get all the love for the Bloodline. In the same 3-year time frame, they put less people over than the NWO. It's really boring.
I don't know about that, because like this has made Jey Uso feel like a main event character. This has done way more than
Sami Zayn.
And yeah, I mean, even Sami, and like all this work is done for Solo Sikoa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's made Paul Heyman feel more relevant than he has in years.
Yeah.
I think this is a ship that's rising like up and up and up. And I think this has done way more. This 3-year storyline has done more for Jey Uso than all of the tag title runs that he had. When like him and Jimmy were just tag champions, diddly dee, whatever times they were, did diddly dick for them. This storyline has made them feel like the biggest players in the game.
I'll also say that there was like a time period in the middle there where things just kind of dragged.
Yes,
and
it
was
did.
A bit boring, and it was just the same, and nothing was happening. And I do agree with you that at a certain point, Roman was just kind of beating everyone, and people got elevated to face Roman, and then just dropped back down the card. But since Triple H has taken over, that's been completely flipped on its head. The start and then the end of this story has been phenomenal.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it.
Me, you, and Tempest did a podcast about that, where we did talk about there was an extensive, almost a year period of time when this storyline was not working.
No.
And it was when they dropped all of the emotional bits of the story and was just like, Roman is beat, like Roman wins, lol. And that's what they turned it into. But they have gone back to what made the Bloodline interesting in the first place, which is this emotional story.
Yeah. And all the interwoven character motivations and the interactions between said characters. Taylor Pencer said, if Sami wins the Rumble, what if he demands his title matches move to Elimination Chamber instead of Mania so that he can wrestle in front of his hometown? This also avoids WWE undermining a second Roman match at Mania if they want to focus on Rock Roman there.
I get what you're saying, but I also feel that Triple H is a man of tradition, and he will, I say that, but he did do the Money in the Bank thing, I guess. For me, if you win the Rumble, you get the main event of WrestleMania. Like that's the stip of the match, is that you get the main event of WrestleMania, and like the whole point is that the main event of WrestleMania is the biggest accolade. Yeah. So but I mean, it doesn't mean that you're out of the out of realms of possibility.
Caleb, formerly known as Mr. Higglesby's been a member for 16 months in a row. This segment had me on the edge of my seat. Don't forget to acknowledge your tribal Pete and that you are in fact Luke.
I did gossip that, and I was correct.
Ah, yes, gossip. I remember. Kingslayer says, "Hey guys, first time Ultrachat. Excuse me. I just needed to express that the Bloodline storyline is the best thing going in wrestling. It's pure cinema. The only thing that would make it perfect is if Sami wins the Rumble and beats Roman at WrestleMania. Rock who? I agree. Jimmy G's been a member for 16 months in a row. The Tribal Court was fabulous. Not as good as the Godfather meeting Corbin. Good catching your stream, Pete. Keep it up. Thank you. I streamed at the weekend.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Twitch.tv/Pete Quinnell.
Amazing. What did you play?
I started learning how to speedrun Bowser's Fury.
Really now?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was fun.
Yeah?
It was very fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's what I did on my lunch break today. I watched the first episode of Avatar The Last Airbender so I could make notes. And then after that, I just started practicing some more speedrun of Bowser's Fury on my Switch.
That's cool, man.
Because I can. BM Whitehouse 76 said, what makes the Tribal Council even better is that Paul Heyman, the only member of the Bloodline to betray Roman when Paul realigned with Brock Lesnar, was leading the case that Sami was betraying Roman.
I wonder if we're supposed to forget that bit.
I get the feeling that we probably are, but it's fine. Ben Walker said, "Hi lads, first time watching a weekly WWE since 2014. Nothing new, but the Bloodline was bloody phenomenal. Greatly underwhelmed by Brock's return. Was it just me, or did anyone else get super worried that the Teddy Long spot was going to be Vince?"
yes,
I did.
Absolutely, Ben. I was like, uh-oh.
Oh dear.
Especially when it's like, this booking thing is hard. If only there was one man we could turn to, I was like, oh no! If we're going to hear no chance. And then Teddy came in, I was like, of course it is a six-man tag.
Yeah,
of course
that's funny.
Of course
that's
it's
good.
Teddy.
That's a good spot. Pepsi Boy 3000 said, Rumble spot pitch. Jay saves Sammy from elimination. As Sammy is thanking Jay, he sees Drew flying in for a Claymore. Sammy ducks and Drew eliminates Jay. No matter how many bullets Sammy takes, it's the one bullet he dodges that they use to shoot him down.
It's not bad.
That's a good way to put it.
I like it, yeah.
Jonathan Hedberg's been a member for 17 months in a row. This was so great. What if when they go to kick Sammy out, both Jimmy and Jay refuse to do it and they turn against their family? Oh man, how exciting.
I can't see Jimmy doing it.
It's so difficult, isn't it?
I can't see him doing it, particularly now as well that Sammy stole his thunder. I don't know.
Slid said, what if Sammy wins the Rumble and Roman forces him to go against Solo or one of the Usos at the Chamber for the title shot at Mania and try to make him lay down for them, but that's when Sammy finally fights for himself and wins in Montreal. I'm not a huge fan of Rumble wins being put on the line, just in general. Like if someone wins the Rumble and then you go, well, you have to defend your title shot at the next pay-per-view. It's like, well, they won the Rumble. They don't need to do that.
Yeah. I don't hate. It's not my favorite thing.
No,
but I don't hate it.
Yeah. Who's this from? I'm
from Slit, which says
Slit
from
again?
a fake name hailing from the island of
irrelevancy. Sure. I know Kevin Owens is an important part of the story, but it would feel like such a cop out if Sammy's Mania plans are winning the tag titles with him rather than winning a world title from Roman. That is my worry. It will feel like a demotion, or it won't feel like the big payoff that we want from this because they've told the story too well.
Yeah,
that's what they've done.
Kind of in a way.
Yeah. Jonathan Cantrez says, hearing about the Sammy winning the Royal Rumble theory is interesting, but what if Sammy's in the Final Four and is about to win, and Roman screws Sammy over in winning it, thereby bringing the ultimate heel heat on Roman? That can work, but Sammy still has to beat Roman. You still have to do that. That's the payoff to the story. If you don't do that, it's going to feel like the rug's been pulled out from under you.
I agree.
Jonathan Cantrez again said, I like hearing these Royal Rumble theories. What if Sammy's in the final three and Roman screws Sammy because this was the test and he failed because he thinks Sammy's plotting to get a title shot?
Could also be that as well.
Yeah. Richie R said, to touch back in the Bloodline segment, it was shot absolutely beautifully. I'm a film major, and the entire segment did everything to show Sammy feeling powerless. Jay's defiance coming back, and Roman being an untouchable final boss. Yes, staging, phenomenal.
Yeah, Roman was literally the head of the table.
Sure was.
Man, an hour into this show, we've only finished talking about what was effectively the opening segment of the show. You said, actually, you wanted to spend the whole hour talking about it.
I did, because it's the best thing I've ever seen.
So good. I mean,
don't care.
Kind of thankfully, in a way, there isn't a whole great deal of stuff to talk about.
There is something. We'll talk about it.
Well, yeah, yes, there is that. Yeah. So it was Raw 30. It was the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw airing. Opened with Hulk Hogan, who came out, blew his first couple of lines, then his mic cut out,
lol,
and then said, "We were celebrating 30 years then. We're celebrating 30 years now." Like, what does that first bit mean? We were celebrating 30 years then? So what, when the show started, we were celebrating 30 years of the show? This was nonsense.
I think what he meant to say was, so we're celebrating 30 years, then, now, forever. Like, he just wanted to use the tagline, but it doesn't make sense with the rest of the sentence.
It came out and said, well, let me tell you something, Hulkamaniacs. Rubbish this was. What a pointless bit of nostalgia I wrote.
I said, great start.
Then we got all of the Bloodline stuff with...
we got the hype package that was on Twitter, by the way, the 3.5 minute, here's all the highlights from the last 30 years of Raw. Yeah. It's still great.
Still great.
Yeah.
There was a couple of backstage segments with the legends that were played up for comedy. JBL and Corbin walked up and met the Godfather. Godfather didn't know who Baron Corbin was, so wouldn't let him in. Farouk walked out. He also didn't know who Baron Corbin was, but JBL paid them so that Corbin could gain entry into their poker game.
Yep.
And there were people that DDP was there, Alundra Blaze was there, IRS was there, the $1 Million Man was there.
Yep. That was 3 backstage segments.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's you know, I just can't think of things we needed to cut.
Can't think of anything.
But, you know, because that's the other thing from this show, is brought by Fightful Select. As great as that Bloodline segment was, it ran long.
Yes.
And it meant that they had to cut something on this show. And they chose to cut the wrong thing.
Sure did.
In my opinion.
Me too.
But before we get to that, LA Knight came out to the ring and he challenged any of the legends to come down and face him. They're busy playing poker. And I was like, yeah, good one, mate. Out comes Taker. Taker's gong. Taker's dong goes off. Yep. And, we're about to hear his sort of funeral march music. But instead, Kid Rock blares out on the radio. And out comes, like it's 2001. Although it'd be Limp Bizkit by that point. So 2000... American Badass Undertaker. Now, what's funny is I have had so many conversations with Ollie where he has said he came back as American. I told you he'd come back as American Badass. Anytime he wore a bandana, Ollie would say, like, see, American Badass Undertaker. I told you he was coming back as American Badass. This and the other. We all thought it was the Boneyard thing. I was saying he's American Badass Undertaker. Yeah. According to commentary, this is the first time he's been American Badass Undertaker in 20 years.
Sure.
So whatever.
Sure. Whatever.
Knight said that he agreed with what Undertaker said on Joe Rogan about the rest of the locker room being soft, but he's not soft. So he's going to give the Undertaker the night off. Yeah. He goes to back up the ramp. Bray Wyatt comes out, and Bray Wyatt backs LA Knight down to the ring. LA Knight gets in. Taker grabs him for a choke slam, and I was like, "Oh, this is not the way to promote this match." Undertaker beating up LA Knight. This is not the way This is not the way to do things. And Undertaker shoves Knight across into Wyatt. Wyatt gives him the Sister Abigail, and Wyatt and Undertaker have a moment that was a legit passing of the torch.
It was very cool.
Very, very cool. And this is how you use legends. People took huge issue with my criticisms of the DX anniversary show because DX just came out, said some catchphrases and left. Yep. It accomplished nothing. The use of legends here, this one, particularly the DX segment, was all done to put over the guys that are here now. Yep. That is what legends should be used for. Not what we did at Raw 25 when they all just beat up FTR. Like that's not that's not the way to use legends. This is a way legends come in, use their larger than life personas and how over they are to put over someone new. And that is exactly what this segment was here for. And then lol, Taker could not start his bike.
I also thought lol, because he went up, it felt very, very staged, because he went up on his bike and was going up the ramp, stopped and then kind of like readjusted for a second, then was like, did the cool epic look over his shoulder. It's just like you had to get ready for that. Like we knew that was coming. It did not feel very legit.
With that said, he did not come out to Rollin, so -5 stars.
Exactly. Couldn't get Limp Bizkit, 0 stars.
Alundra Blaze with her women's championship that threw in the bin. Get over it! Was 1 card, but actually DDP won.
Cool.
So then we got what was actually cut from this show.
Yeah.
If you were to look at this card, because the segment's running along, you're like, we need to cut something. Are you looking at trimming down some time for DX in the ring? Are you going to trim down Bianca Belair versus Sonya Deville that didn't need to happen? Are you going to lose one of the backstage segments that you got with Baron Corbin, maybe? Would you cut out Miz getting stunned by Kevin Owens? No, they looked at this card and thought, no, let's cut the advertised steel cage match that we've been building to for weeks. What in the blue hell was this?
Yeah. So, okay. I can understand, to a degree, I can understand changing this into an angle to then do the match later. If you want to do the match later, that's something. If you cut something else from this show, you then can't do it again. With the exception of like Miz stuttering Owens, but then the Royal Rumble was this Miz stuttering Owens. Owens stuttering Miz, but then the Royal Rumble was this weekend. What a segment that would have been. Yeah, so then like the Royal Rumble was this weekend, so they wanted Owens to have a promo, I understand that. The Bianca Belair, Sonya Deville thing and Charlotte Flair being there, I don't think needed to be there, but also you need some women's representation on this show. It would have been good to have like, I don't know, a match. So like, I can understand wanting to change this into an angle. I don't think they did it very well, I'll say as well. Because what happened was, as Becky Lynch tried to get into the steel cage, she got attacked by Damage Control. They brawled on the outside, they brawled on the inside, they locked themselves inside the cage, they beat her up a little bit more. Adam Pearce came down, got inside the cage. They all climbed out of the cage. So Bayley won.
And the match didn't start.
The match never started. But then they got out, and then that was that.
Well, here's where this whole thing falls apart. Becky was getting back up.
Yeah. And, like, if this is where I think it could have worked fine. It still would have been like, oh, they cut the match. That's weird. It could have worked fine if they actually did, like, a brutal beatdown. They had, like, weapons involved. They did, like, some sort of brutal-looking spot. Something to make it go, like, oh, my God. Like, Becky can't wrestle anymore. That's crazy. You know, like, attempt to, like, break her ankle or something. You know, something crazy to make people go, oh, my God, crazy. Like, 3-in-1 beatdown. This was like, we're going to punch her a bit. Do, like, a moonsault. It's about it. Like, it just doesn't feel genuine when they go, oh, well, Becky can't wrestle. That's that. All of us are just left going, but she can. She's Becky Lynch. She's faced so much worse than that. She's
getting back up.
She's getting back up. Like, it's so weird. Yeah, and I do agree that I think they just cut the wrong thing from the show. I think I prefer them doing an angle to then do the match later, rather than just have the match be 2 minutes, which was the alternate choice. I would have said, just cut someone else from the show. But that's just me.
I mean, if you wanted to do it that way, you could have had the beatdown and Bayley just pins her. And you at least then the people got to see a match.
Yeah.
And I know, but it's a weak thing to do. But do you know what the better thing to do is? Cut something else on this show.
Yeah.
There were multiple opportunities here to either cut something or trim it down for time. Particularly the next bloody segment. You could have easily trimmed that down, but absolutely no, because Triple H has to be Triple H and he has to be the architect of the Attitude Era. I'll tell you exactly what this was, Pete. It was fucking bullshit that they cut this segment.
Yeah, it was.
People pay to see this. They advertised this. They've been building this for weeks. And this is the segment they chose to cut. This is not the segment to cut on this show. The Charlotte Flair segment is what you cut later on. Bianca Belair can just cut a promo with Alexa Bliss. You don't have to do Bliss and Flair with Rick. And you have to do her versus Sonya Deville. Because that accomplished nothing. But also this accomplished nothing. But it could have accomplished something because you've been building it for weeks. Hated this.
Yeah, this sucked.
And then,
this is real bad.
Of course, you can't cut this segment down, can you? No, you can't, because DX come out, and Corey Graves there being like, man, well, these are the guys responsible for the Attitude Era. And I was like, well, you can tell Steve Austin's not fucking backstage, can't you? Because they're spouting this nonsense that DX were the creators of the Attitude Era. Absolute rubbish. Credit where credit's due. This was a funny segment.
It was funny. I did pop.
And the key to it was it put over the stars that are on the show every week.
Yeah.
So it put over Imperium, it put over Rollins, it put over Street Profits. Thumbs up for that.
Yeah.
You could have trimmed it down.
Absolutely.
You could have trimmed it down, but they had to do, because Triple H is in his mind, he's like, DX is the most important faction in WWE history, so we have to have big representation on this show, when they really, really didn't.
And especially because if this was the first DX reunion since the Attitude Era, you know, or since 2006 or whatever, I can kind of understand them doing more time. DX have a reunion like every year in WWE.
We did this like 3-4 months ago.
They do this all the time. You don't need to do this every time. And I really liked the joke of Kurt Angle being there and them going to introduce Billy Gunn and being like, wait, Kurt? And then he's like, well, I always wanted to be in DX. Like, that's a funny joke. I get it. That's funny.
And them not wanting to wrestle Imperium because they're all retired or too old.
And Imperium being very scary. Like, that's good. You're putting over the new guys. It's funny jokes.
And do you know what? Like, the segment wouldn't have stuck out if they hadn't have pulled the Becky Bayley thing.
Yeah.
If that had still taken place and then you'd done this does not feel so jarring.
Yeah.
But because Triple H looked at the sheet of paper and thought, well, I can't cut my time, but I can cut this.
Yeah.
That is where this leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Absolutely.
Because what that is, that's the Triple H of 2005. That's the Triple H that no one liked. Because it's easy to forget, although we bring it up on this channel a lot, we all hated Triple H for multiple years.
Until
NXT.
Yep.
This is classic Triple H. I can't cut DX segments because that's what the fans want to see.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting this segment here instead.
It sucked. But regardless, Imperium came out and stared down DX and they were saying, like, you know, well, none of us want to fight you. If only there was someone that does want to fight you. Out comes Seth Rollins. And they said, well, there's only one of Seth Rollins in the Street Imperium. If only there was a tag team that could help. Out comes the Street Profits. And then Triple H is like, oh, this booking thing is so hard. I can't just make matches out of nowhere. If only there was someone who could come down and make this match official. Out comes Teddy Long, who said, hey, we're going to have a 6-man tag team match. Player. I laughed. It was funny. Kurt Angle special guest ref as well, because he had on his Kurt Angle t-shirt. Underneath that was a DX t-shirt. Underneath that was an Olympic-themed referee vest.
It was very funny.
It was funny. It was very silly. It was very funny. And I said, I'm not immune to stupid nostalgia bits. I popped. All right? It was fun.
That's it. Like, as a segment, it does work.
Yeah.
But on a segment where you've just cut something that was actually way more important for this circle jerk.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. It led to a 6-man tag of Seth Rollins and the Street Profits versus Imperium with Jerry Lawler out for commentary. You want to talk about classic Lawler? Here's my... Did you note this one down?
I noted one of them down.
Oh, okay. Which one did you have down?
Well, does Gunther remind you of anyone?
Yes! That's the exact same one! I the exact same one! I wrote down here. They asked him, does Gunther remind you of everyone? Jerry, direct quote, I've seen some big guys.
I've seen a lot of big ugly guys in my day. I can assure you of that. But yeah, he's scary. He really is.
Jerry, man. And then it felt like he then had to justify that he doesn't watch the product.
Yeah.
So he just started naming them.
Yeah.
So he was like, Montez Ford. It's Giovanni Vici. Someone's in his headset being like, yeah. And then the next one's Ludwig Kaiser. And he's like, Kaiser. And he's just like, oh no, I've been exposed. I don't watch wrestling.
I genuinely thought I could hear Jerry Lawler thinking and going what are the giants at a Big Show? Oh, I can't say Big Show. I've got nothing.
Andre. Andre the Giant's right there, and he couldn't think of Andre the Giant. It was like watching Andy Datson watch wrestling. No idea who any of these people are, so I'll just say things.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, the good guys won.
Rollins got the win. Really fun match. I thought it was a very superficially fun match. There wasn't much depth to it.
That's exactly
but there was a lot of neat combo offense with Rollins and the Street Profits. They worked together really well. It was fun.
It was fun. Ted DiBiase played poker and lost lots of money.
Lol. He won money because IRS took it back for him.
Well, so Ted DiBiase lost money to Baron Corbin.
Yes.
Then Baron Corbin lost that money to IRS through taxes, and he only got to keep $100. Farouk walked in and said, damn, I'm so glad we cut the Bayley match.
Yeah.
Kathy interviewed Bobby Lashley backstage, who name-dropped Brock Lesnar. Gee, I wonder who's interfering in the main event then. And MVP walked up, and Bobby said, don't come down to the ring tonight. I'm going to handle this business on my own.
Business! It's part of the faction name.
I wouldn't have said the Brock thing.
No.
Because the second he said Brock, I was like, all right, Brock's here then.
Yeah.
And that was it. If he hadn't have said that, I really would have been surprised when Brock Lesnar was in the main event segment.
Yeah.
Ric Flair came out. He introduced Charlotte. Charlotte then, I guess, she said some things. It wasn't particularly important. Bianca Belair came out and also said some unimportant things. And then Sonya Deville came out in her gear. Wonder what's happening next. She admitted that she was a general manager. She admitted she was an authority figure. I thought we were the authority. And then Flair says, hey, Belair, I think you should take on Sonya Deville in a match. Crickets. Absolute crickets from this crowd. Who are like, all right, I guess.
Sure.
I'd much rather seen Becky versus Bayley, but sure, I guess we'll do this.
Yeah.
And then Belair won. Video package for Cody.
Another 3-count prediction has come true.
Oh, he
cries during promos. Well, he did it.
Of course he cried during promos. That was my easiest one.
He did it.
We got a video. Actually, that was the video package that made me think, yeah, Cody's winning this Rumble anyway.
Yeah.
Video for WWE 2K23. I don't agree with this sentiment, but I did see someone on Twitter yesterday saying, it says a lot about WWE when all of the focus on 2K23 is John Cena and Bad Bunny.
Yeah, but they're the big name draws.
That's what I said. I was like, it's a 2K game.
He's a Hollywood actor and the biggest Spotify streaming artist of 2022 or something like that. Yeah, of course.
Of course it's those guys. I just don't agree with that sentiment whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's always been legends on the front cover.
Yeah.
Feels like it's been years since we went through that period of time of the top guy goes up on there. Then The Miz came out, asked why there was no Miz TV segment. Owens gave him the stunner and then said, I'm going to win the title.
I like the promo.
Promo was great.
I'm taking that title from you or I'm going to die trying.
Could have done it backstage.
Nice. Yeah, could have.
Could have done it backstage.
Yeah.
Didn't need this to be out in the front of the live crowd, particularly because it went a minute and a half.
And then he stunned him again. I reckon this promo was probably supposed to go longer and they trimmed it. I reckon. A little bit.
I can't imagine how he would have extended this out.
I don't know either. But they also, like, I noticed that Charlotte Flair got immediately interrupted by Bianca Belair. Like, she said, like, and I'm a 14-time world champ. Bang!
Yeah.
Bianca Belair's music.
Get out.
Go. Say the new segment.
This main event segment really had a lot of that because it's Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley for... It was Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley for the US title. Bobby dominated. They did a couple of table spots. Brock Lesnar came out, F5 Bobby, immediately F5'd Austin Theory on top of Bobby. The referee counted 3. The show ended.
It was genuinely, that F5 in Austin Theory was very well done. Straight on top of Bobby, bang, straight into the pin. Great. It was literally 1, 2, 3. Corey Graves on commentary goes, "Oh my God, Theory's the champ. Lesnar's here."
Show ended. That was it.
That's it.
We were like scrambling for time here. Absolutely scrambling towards the end of this show.
My final note was, could have maybe trimmed down some of that show, eh?
It's a 3-hour show. They're like, oh, we got no time for all of this. All of this great C we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, that shows you, I had quite a bit to say about some of those segments. We went 12 minutes recapping 2 hours worth of television. And I swore 3 times.
You did.
I mean, I gave this a 5 out of 5 in the edited review. And I don't think well, for me personally, I'm not going back on that. Yeah, the final 2 hours weren't great. And I think a lot of it was superficial fun, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And I think they used the nostalgia to at least put over new talent. So that gives good a thumbs up. The only thing that leaves a bad taste in my mouth is the Becky Bayley thing. And that's just poor planning. But really, when you look at this on paper, this has an all-time segment on it. Like one of the best segments that WWE have done in years, in a storyline that has had a lot of all-time segments in it. It has, like, for me, this has to be a 5 out of 5 show.
Okay, so the thing is, nothing on this show I think was bad aside from the Becky Bayley match being cut. Like the backstage segments were, whatever, bit of a waste of time, but like, it's legends, it's superficial, it's whatever. But the problem is the Becky and Bayley being cut then also makes other segments bad by association because, well, this thing got cut, but this thing didn't. And then the other segments kind of have more of a microscope put on them to be like, well, why was this one left in and this one wasn't? So there's much more of a dissection of the show as to why stuff that is only okay, why was that left on the show when the match that could have been great was cut? So I think it objectively speaking, in a vacuum, this show is great, and I think it's an easy 5 out of 5. If you dissect it segment by segment and be like, why was this cut and this one wasn't, it kind of drops it down a little bit.
It sure does.
But I'm still giving it a 5 because it has my favorite segment of all time on it. How can I possibly give it lower than a 5?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it is tough from that perspective. And I think you can also make the argument of the Becky Bayley thing only really leaves the bad taste in your mouth because we know that it was cut. Because it's like if you don't know that, it just feels like it was an angle.
It just feels like it was bad booking.
That's exactly what it is. It just feels like it was a bad angle.
Yeah.
But it's because because we know the extras of that.
Yeah.
It leaves that bad taste.
Yes.
Otherwise, it just feels like bad booking.
And if it was the plan all along and it was just a bad angle, it wouldn't drag the score down as much. It still would be a 5 out of 5 show, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because that opening hour of the show was phenomenal.
It was so great. Absolutely it was, because the Bloodline are great.
They sure are.
Right, we have got no Patreon shout-outs to do, which has come at just the right time, because we are going very long. So, up in your Ultrachats, ding, ding, ding. This is your last call for your Ultrachats, WrestleTalk.com/support. Those who are just joining, we have unfortunately had to cancel our Rumble party this weekend due to unforeseen circumstances. Refunds have already been issued, but please do email support@WrestleTalk.com with any questions. There will be an email that's sent out to everyone who did buy a ticket, which will have more details on it in this, that, and the other, but I'm trying to get that through Eventbrite. Unfortunately, it sort of happened like 5 minutes before we came out on air. So it was a last minute thing, but I will get it. We're going to try and make it up to you as best we can. Right. Shadow Ace says, if Cody wins the Rumble, then Roman defends one of the titles during the Chamber. Owens, Roman, and a Bloodline Zayn are the final 3. Owens forces Zayn to pin Roman. Owens or Zayn becomes champion.
Owens forces Zayn to pin Roman.
Yeah. So so it comes down to Owens, Roman, and Zayn, the final three, Owens says, hey, Zayn, you should pin Roman. And it comes down to it, and then one of them wins the title.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Again, like, for me, the key there is, why is it only for one belt?
Yes. I mean, they got away with it with the Usos thing. They just said, hey, Raw tag titles.
Well, Pierce said that was a punishment, in a way.
Sure.
Shadowways kind of goes on a little bit more. It says Owens knocks out both and puts Zayn on top of Roman to pin him. Then either Owens and Zayn's co-champ. I think it's a slightly better idea. Dr. Joss says Sami gets a late Rumble number and all the Bloodline members are already out. As Sami comes out, so does Reigns. Ooh. Reigns demands Sami's spot. All the heat is on Reigns and Cody can win the Rumble. Do you know what? I don't hate that. Sami goes to enter the Rumble, but Reigns comes out and be like, no, that's my spot. And then Reigns gets eliminated from the Rumble by Cody. Actually, that's not a bad way of getting out of that. I don't hate that at all. I think that's actually quite nice.
You definitely need to position the heat on Roman, for sure. I still think that then leads to you should have Sami dethrone Roman. All roads lead to Sami dethroning Roman.
Slid here says, maybe Cody wins the Rumble because Roman has Solo take out Sami, thinking he'll try to overshadow him. Cody only wants the WWE title at Mania, so Roman has to defend the Universal at Elimination Chamber. And Sami helps him make of it to the end, that Sami turns on Roman to win. If you have to have Cody win the Rumble, here's a pitch. Final four is Zayn, Jay, Solo, and Cody. Solo eliminates Zayn out of nowhere. Jay can bring himself to fight his brother to eliminates himself in protest. So did Solo go rogue or did Roman make the call? There's some things in there, like Cody only wanting the WWE title massively undermines the Universal Championship.
Yes.
And I know that part of his like story is my dad never got to be WWE champion, but it really undermines then the Universal Champion if you got the option to go for both belts, but you were like, no, I just want one.
I just want one, please. Yeah.
And Tyler Hay says, hey guys, first time Ultra Chatter here. How do you feel about Cody and Sami pulling a Cena Batista from the Rumble, but instead of restarting the match, Roman and Solo destroy Sami while the Usos attack Cody to effectively set up both nights of Mania's main event?
I don't like it personally. I don't like the Rumble ending in a draw, and I think the spot is too risky to do safely. You can mistime it quite comfortably.
We've had two instances of this, technically three. Actually, no, we've had three instances of this. One of them was on purpose and two of them were botches. I don't think we should look to the draw as a good template as to end a Rumble.
No.
Travis Stahl, my dream is that it comes down to Owens and Sami as the last two in the Rumble. Then Owens eliminates himself hopping over the top rope, making Sami face Reigns at WrestleMania. Owens putting himself into the Rumble afterwards? But
I generally speaking just don't like that. If someone has a title match at the Rumble, they shouldn't also be in the Rumble. To me, that doesn't make sense. In kayfabe terms, that doesn't make sense.
We've got some other Ultra Chats that are actually about the rest of Raw here. Darren Lloyd says, Undertaker whispered to Bray, Hail Hydra.
That's very good.
Chris said, hey chaps, fun show last night. Loved the Alexa promo after the Sonya match. But I'd have had her attack a legend to nail home that she's dangerous to everyone. She didn't hold up the title, so maybe a title switch. Bianca faces Charlotte on SmackDown at WrestleMania. Nope. I think the Rhea Ripley is winning that Women's Royal Rumble 100p because ain't no way Alexa's winning this weekend. And Belair Charlotte does little for me, unfortunately. And she couldn't really attack a legend on the show. There were none booked. Liam version 1 said, hey lads, first Raw I've watched in a year. Absolutely loved the first hour. Maybe want to watch WWE Weekly again. Then the wheels fell off and the rest of the show is exactly why I don't watch. Thought it was god-awful, especially the steel cage BS.
That's fair.
I'd like to think Charles Burke, I'd like to think the Undertaker whispered something to Bray along the lines of, my bike is big and goes vroom. Or, you spooky, I spooky, we all spooky, baby. Or something more profound like, blurb.
That is pretty profound.
That is profound.
Yeah.
Shadow A says, does Shelton turn on the Hurt Business to help his old pal Lesnar?
No.
No, I don't think so. Will Campbell, even with the circumstances surrounding it, the DX segment plus the six-man made remember how much I love Kurt Angle. To see him absolutely cheesing the entire time as the babyfaces kept doing all of their moves, he looked like he was having the best time.
Yeah, like the Street Profits doing the ankle locks and Seth Rollins hitting the angle slam and Kurt Angle was like, yeah, that's my thing. Very good.
Ryan here said, Ric Flair introducing Charlotte just made me think of the pregnancy storyline he had with Lacey Evans. There are some Vince storylines that still haunt me. I also agree that the Bianca match was pointless.
It's good that they had a women's match on this show.
I'll tag across.
BM Whitehouse said, did Tempest and Sat not read Ultrachats on the SmackDown Review podcast? I've left a couple in the past and have never heard them read. It's a pre-recorded show, so they can't read the Ultrachats because they can't see them because it's not live.
Yeah, and we haven't had people say that they've sent them in. It's actually the first time someone said that they've sent in Ultrachats to the pre-recorded show. Maybe we can set it up so that, we can try and get them together and read them out. Like if they're sent in before they record, they can do them. But then there's the problem there is that you'd have to send them after you after you finish watching SmackDown live. It'd be the only way to do it because we can't guarantee when it's recorded.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they might just get missed.
Yeah. Slid said, hello, boys. Pokemon Nipples guy here. Just going to leave that one hanging for a second.
I thought I had a clip for that, but I don't.
Pokemon Nipples guy here. Just wanted to start off by asking what projects you both have this year. God, so many. Luke, any podcasts or music you're obsessed with currently? Pete, what an amazing stream. Can't wait to watch the next. Well, thank you so much for coming by. Appreciate it. Lots of love, boys.
Projects I'm working on this year. My Games Master podcast comes to an end this year. I'm finishing up. We reviewed all 8 series of the show over the last 3 and a bit years. So yeah, that comes to an end this year. So then we'll be working out what becomes of that show afterwards.
But when one door closes, another opens, because I will be launching a podcast soon, which I'm very excited for. Hopefully recording the pilot this week, but who knows when that series is actually going to launch.
Also, is there any music I'm obsessed with currently? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am obsessed.
Oh, are you going to say the thing?
With Scene Queen.
There it is, yeah.
You guys, so I was recommended Scene Queen. I didn't discover her last year when everybody else did. I only found out about her recently. I have listened to Bimbo Core Volume 1 and Bimbo Core Volume 2 over and over and over again. I listened to them when I was on my way to work this morning. I am obsessed with Scene Queen right now. It's rad. It's so good. It is early days Kesha, but it's metal, and I absolutely love it. It is sex heavy, and I love it. Pink Panther rules. Pink Hotel rules. Every track on those albums slaps so hard. If you like your metal, check out Scene Queen. It is. I think she'll be Marmite to a lot of people because I've recommended it to a few people who've gone like, no, this blows, and a few people have been like, yeah, this rocks hard. So like, you might find yourself. I don't think you'll find yourself in the middle. I think you'll find yourself on either one of them because you weren't hugely keen.
I really like the instrumentation. Not a huge fan of the vocals, unfortunately. Social media Abby in the chat also said that you and her should launch a Bluey podcast.
That's right. We have talked about this in the past. I've got like names for it and everything. I've got jingles for it. I've already written the intro in my head.
It's perfect. We're going to go back to Raw ones, I think, because there's one from Terrence Collins here. Said, hey, first Ultra Chat here, and I just want to say that the Bloodline storyline is the greatest thing in wrestling right now. I agree. So also, Jay versus Roman for the Universal title, Sammy versus Roman for the WWE title, and we need Pete on stream Saturday because duh. Love you guys. Look, I would love to be on stream on Saturday. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I want to be there.
We would love to have you there.
Rooster Libre has been a member for 15 months in a row. Why can't Cody win night 1 and then Sammy gets a shot night 2 where he is to lose to appease Roman, but Jay and Owen screw Roman out of the title? You could do. I don't think you'd sell night 2 on that, personally, but
yeah.
I don't think you'd sell night 2 on. Sammy's going to have this match, and the point is that he's going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm so intrigued by this Rumble. It's not just like I'm excited for the show because I'm always excited for a Rumble. It's you've got this 2-night WrestleMania thing and 2 titles that are both on the same guy. And you've got to find a very good creatively satisfying way to have, if you want to do Roman on both nights, that it's for one title for one title for the other, and crucially make both of them feel important. And WWE has got a history of ballsing that up. Yeah. So yeah, we'll certainly see. I'm very intrigued.
Me too. Loki40481 said, "Is it a worry that Raw 30 was a bit full of SmackDown superstars?"
Well, Loki, SmackDown's the only good show in WWE's mind. That's the A show. So sure they have to put the SmackDown stars onto Raw because Raw doesn't have any stars.
Yes. Richie R said, "Hey Pete, it's been a bit since I donated, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the new season of Legend of Vox Machina. I remember you were excited for the first season. I was curious how you're liking the second season so far. I haven't seen any of it yet because only the first 3 episodes are out, so I'm waiting until the rest of the season's out before I watch it. Also, my partner and I are currently rewatching season 1 because she's forgotten everything that happened. So we're getting through it. We're like 9 episodes through season 1. Once we finish that, we'll then start watching season 2. Tyler Robinson has been a member for 15 months in a row. Did you see John Morrison is boxing in Creator Clash 2 against Harley Morenstone from Epic Mealtime? I did not see that. That's cool.
But folks, where's the lie?
Where's the lie? Creator Clash is a bit of fun. Miguel Martinez said, "Okay, hear me out. Cody wins the Rumble and splits the belts because as a babyface, he thinks both deserve a top title. Thoughts? Side, not sorry to hear... Side note. Side, not sorry to hear. Side note, sorry to hear about the cancellation of the watch along. Love you guys. Hashtag SWAF Nation for life."
Yes. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, where it's
yeah,
it sucks. And Ken2K99 has become a member as well.
Thank you
very much.
Very much.
That's it.
Thank you, John, for letting us know. John has been updating the bottom of the sheet, being like, "Hey guys, there's one more," and then be like, "No way, guys, I think we're clear now."
There's actually one more. Yeah,
and then he's just deleted his last comments. Thank you, John. Thank you all so much for your Ultra Chats here. This has been a long stream, but the first hour was dedicated to one of the greatest segments that Raw has had in quite some time. Glad they saved it for the 30th anniversary show. Oh, it was so good.
It was great.
If you have bought a ticket for the Rumble Party and you haven't had a message, please email support@WrestleTalk.com. I'm going to be replying to them over the next 48-hour period. Obviously, tomorrow I am a bit busy, but I'm going to do my best to try and reply to everyone's messages.
Yeah, you're on a 10-hour stream tomorrow.
I'm in a 10-hour stream tomorrow, but I'm going to do my best to do what I can. So please email, if you bought a ticket, support@WrestleTalk.com if you don't receive an email through Eventbrite. I'm working through that, but Eventbrite's system is... I did things the wrong way around. It's my fault. I was about to blame Eventbrite. It's my fault, not theirs. And yeah, tomorrow, please do join us. It's 70K Celebration Day. We are doing a 10-hour Royal Rumble randomizer stream. The way that works is we're going to be on air. There's going to be a wheel that spins, and it's going to have a Royal Rumble from the past 30-odd years of Royal Rumbles. That Royal Rumble is picked. We load that up on the network.
It's 40 years, isn't it?
Is it?
No, it's not quite 40 years. 35?
Yeah.
Is it 88? It started was the first one?
Yeah. Like televised,
Maths.
Yeah. So we're going to go back, and then we'll load it up on the network, and we'll all watch it together for 10 hours. We're going to have some incentives on the show as well, to maybe go a little bit longer, but we'll certainly see about that. And we're just going to have a really fun time.
Yeah.
So if you like me, you're going to see me for 10 hours tomorrow.
Maybe longer.
Yeah, or maybe longer. 10 whole hours. What we will do is not go over 12, because we made that mistake on 50K Day. We learned from that error. YouTube. But anyway, yeah, please do join us. That is from 12 p.m. GMT tomorrow, which means it will be at
7 a.m. EST,
7 p.m. Eastern,
7 a.m. EST.
7. Yep, you're right. 7 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. 4 a.m. Pacific? 4 a.m. Pacific. But yes, we're going from 12 p.m. GMT. So do join us tomorrow. We're going to be on for 10 whole hours. Until then, thank you all for watching. I've been Luke Owen, DAD. That has been Chopper Pete Quinnell. Press subscribe, press the thumbs up, and jam that jam.